After the drama in Mexico, it's time for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Let's get into it. Welcome back to On Track GP. After an explosive Mexican Grand Prix that saw Ferrari claim back-to-back victories with Carlos Sainz's masterful drive and yet another dramatic encounter between Max Verstappen and Lando Norris, we're heading to the legendary Interlagos circuit for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Let's dive into everything you need to know about this upcoming race weekend. First, a quick review of the Mexican Grand Prix. The Constructors' Championship battle has reached new heights following Ferrari's dominant performance in Mexico. Carlos Sainz delivered a masterclass in race management, leading Ferrari to their second consecutive victory. We witnessed intense on-track battles throughout the field, particularly the controversial encounter between Verstappen and Norris that significantly impacted the race outcome. The weekend also showcased Ferrari's recent resurgence in race pace, while Red Bull faced unexpected challenges. Sergio Perez's home race turned into a nightmare, starting with a Q1 elimination, followed by a grid position penalty and culminating in a last place finish after unsuccessful attempts to secure the fastest lap. Meanwhile, Mercedes demonstrated strong internal competition between Hamilton and Russell, though they remained isolated in their own performance bracket. The weekend ultimately reshaped the Constructors' Championship dynamics, with Ferrari leapfrogging Red Bull for second place, setting up an intriguing battle as we head to Interlagos. Let's take a look at Interlagos and how it presents a unique challenge, sitting 700 metres above sea level, significantly lower than Mexico's 2,000 plus metres, but still high enough to impact car performance. The reduced air density affects both engine performance and aerodynamic efficiency, with teams typically seeing around a 7% reduction in downforce compared to sea level. This weekend will feature the sprint format, giving teams just one practice session before Friday's sprint qualifying. The 4.309 kilometre circuit demands a delicate balance between straight line speed and downforce, particularly through its technical infield section. The track features 15 corners, with the challenging Senna S turns 1 and 2 being particularly critical for lap time and overtaking opportunities. The weather forecast is currently showing potential rain across all 3 days, which could create absolute chaos and shake up the running order. Adding to the intrigue, Interlagos has undergone resurfacing work for this year's race, which could influence grip levels and tyre behaviour. The new surface is expected to reduce tyre deg by approximately 15% compared to previous years. Time now for some team expectations. The Brazilian Grand Prix presents a fascinating prospect for all teams due to its unique challenges. The altitude effects, though less severe than Mexico, will still impact power unit performance and aerodynamic efficiency. The sprint format adds another layer of complexity, giving teams minimal setup time before qualifying. Ferrari enters as favourites following their recent form, with their power unit showing excellent adaptation to altitude conditions. McLaren's high-speed corner performance could prove crucial, particularly through the sweeping middle sector. Red Bull, despite their recent dip in form, cannot be discounted, especially if wet weather materialises. The midfield battle looks particularly intense, with Aston Martin showing signs of recovery and RB's recent upgrades beginning to bear fruit. And remember, let's not discount Haas. Mercedes will be hoping the circuit characteristics better suit their W15, while the likes of Haas and Williams could benefit from the circuit's power-sensitive nature. What will be the expected tyre strategy going into this weekend? Pirelli has adopted for a softer tyre selection compared to last year, bringing the C3 as the hard, working 110 to 135, C4 as the medium, 105 to 135, and C5 as the soft compound. This mirrors the Mexico allocation. Based on last year's data, where we saw 44 pit stops with minimal hard tyre usage, we're likely looking at a 2-stop race strategy, potentially extending to 3 stops. The soft compounds may struggle particularly through the infield section, where sustained lateral loads can exceed 3.5 Gs through turns 6 and 7. Overtaking opportunities may be quite limited this year. Interlagos traditionally delivers excellent racing, though last year only saw 35 on-track overtakes. The circuit features 2 DRS zones, one along the 1.2 kilometre pit straight into turn 1, where cars can reach speeds of 335 kilometres an hour, and another from the exit of the Curva do Sol through to the Descida do Lago. The DRS effect is particularly powerful here due to the altitude, with an estimated 12 to 15 kilometres an hour speed differential when activated. Let's take a look at last year's race. The 2023 Brazilian Grand Prix was a dramatic affair from the outset. The weekend began with chaos when Charles Leclerc crashed on the formation lap due to a hydraulic failure, leaving pole sitter Verstappen alone on the front row. The race's opening moments saw a major incident involving Kevin Magnussen and Alex Albon, which also collected Oscar Piastri and Daniel Ricciardo, forcing a red flag for barrier repairs. After a 30-minute delay, the race resumed with a standing start. Verstappen maintained his lead, while Fernando Alonso made a brilliant move on Lewis Hamilton for 3rd position. The middle phase of the race featured intense DRS trains and strategic battles, with Sergio Perez showing strong pace as he fought through the field. The closing stages produced some of the season's most exciting racing, particularly the battle between Alonso and Perez for the final podium position. In a dramatic finish, Alonso managed to hold off Perez by just 0.053 seconds, demonstrating the kind of wheel-to-wheel racing Interlagos is famous for. Verstappen ultimately took victory by 8 seconds from Norris, while Lance Stroll impressed with a strong 5th place ahead of Sainz. The race also saw George Russell retire due to a power unit issue, highlighting some of the technical challenges that are posed by the circuit. The lap times have been falling this year and performance has continued to improve. Last year's pole position was a 1:10.727 set by Max Verstappen, though the fastest qualifying lap actually came in Q2 with a 1:10.610. During the race, Lando Norris set the fastest lap with a 1:12.486. With the new surface and softer tyre compounds, we can expect these times to be beaten again this year. That's if conditions remain dry. The theoretical minimum lap time based on optimal sector combinations suggests a potential 1:10.2 is achievable in perfect conditions. Looking towards the Grand Prix, we now have our team-by-team analysis. First up, Sauber. After a challenging Mexican Grand Prix, the team arrives at Interlagos looking to capitalise on their improved straight line speed. Bottas and Zhou have both shown flashes of potential in recent races, though converting that into points has proven difficult, if not impossible. The C44's relatively low drag configuration could prove advantageous down Interlagos' long straights, particularly in qualifying where straight line speed is crucial. Next up, Alpine. The A524's recent upgrades haven't delivered the expected performance gains, evidenced by their struggles in Mexico. Gasly and Ocon will need to maximise any opportunities that arise, particularly if wet weather materialises. The team's traditionally strong mechanical grip could help through the technical middle sector, though their power unit deficit might be more pronounced at altitude. On to Williams. Despite the disappointment of Albon's early exit in Mexico, Williams' straight line speed advantage could be particularly valuable on Interlagos' long straights. The FW46 low drag philosophy should work well in sector 1 and 3, though managing tyre deg through the high load corners remains a concern. Albon continues to extract maximum performance from the package, and Colapinto has continued to impress. Moving on to RB, and the team has shown promising pace following their recent upgrades. Lawson's performance in Mexico demonstrated their improving form, and the team's strong mechanical grip could be particularly advantageous through the Interlagos technical sector. Tsunoda's aggressive style could prove effective in the sprint format where tyre management is less critical. Up next, Haas. Coming off a strong weekend in Mexico with both Magnussen and Hülkenberg's impressive qualifying performance, Haas looks to maintain momentum. Their improved tyre management and recent upgrades seem to be paying dividends. The VF24 straight line speed efficiency could make them strong contenders in the midfield battle, particularly if they can maintain their qualifying form. Magnussen's experience in changeable conditions could prove valuable if rain arrives, and we're hoping that Hülkenberg can continue his points run so far. Up next, Aston Martin. Despite struggling to recapture their early season form, the AMR24 strengths in low speed corners could work well in the infield section. Alonso's legendary wet weather prowess could be crucial if the predicted rain materialises, and his experience at Interlagos, where he secured multiple podiums, will be invaluable. Stroll showed improved form in Mexico, suggesting the team might be turning a corner with their recent setup direction. Moving on to Mercedes. Running in their own performance bracket recently, faster than midfield but unable to challenge the front runners. The W15 strengths in medium speed corners could play to their advantage in the midfield sector, and Hamilton's historical success at Interlagos, including his remarkable 2021 victory, cannot be discounted. Russell will be keen to continue to impress as he takes charge in the Mercedes team, and the team's strong operational performance could be crucial in what's likely to be a strategically complex weekend. Up next, Red Bull. Now third in the Constructors' Championship, they face a challenging weekend with Verstappen's impending power unit penalty. However, if wet conditions materialise, expect Verstappen to showcase some exceptional wet weather skills, similar to his dominant performance at Spa. The RB20's strong mechanical grip should help in the technical sections, though their recent dip in race pace relative to Ferrari and McLaren is a concern. Perez needs a strong showing after his disappointing home race, particularly with his seat under increased scrutiny. Ferrari, arriving as the in-form team after back-to-back victories, have now found exceptional performance in recent races. The SF24's impressive straight-line efficiency and improved tyre management make them favourites here. Sainz's confident driving and Leclerc's qualifying prowess could give them an edge, particularly in the sprint format. Their main vulnerability could be wet conditions, though both drivers have seen improved performance in changeable weather conditions. The team's strategic execution, often a weakness, has also improved significantly in recent times. And finally, McLaren. They need a strong showing from both drivers to maintain their Constructors' Championship hopes. Piastri will be looking to bounce back from a difficult Mexico weekend, while Norris continues to show impressive pace despite recent incidents with Verstappen. The MCL30 28's high-speed cornering stability should be particularly beneficial in the Senna S's and through Mugello. Their recent upgrades have particularly enhanced their performance in medium-speed corners, which could prove crucial through the Interlagos technical middle sector. The team's improved tyre management could be a key factor, particularly if the race runs in dry conditions. I'm definitely on a roll of bad predictions at this point, so why stop now? Here are my predictions for the Brazilian Grand Prix. For pole position, I'm backing Lando Norris in the McLaren, but as for the race, here's my predicted top 5. First, Carlos Sainz. Second, Charles Leclerc. Third, Lando Norris. Fourth, Max Verstappen. Fifth, Lewis Hamilton. And I'm going to go with Liam Lawson to secure the fastest lap of the race. That's my preview for the Brazilian Grand Prix. What are your predictions for the race? Will Red Bull continue to decline? Are Ferrari in with a shout? Will McLaren continue their challenge for the Drivers' and Constructors' Championship? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to On Track GP for more Formula 1 content. Keep the pedal to the metal, and I'll see you for qualifying.